Just like collecting, what was it, like 100 feathers, and then all you did is just essentially got your mom to start talking to you again, or not even really talking, just like holding your hand, because she's got post-traumatic stress disorder from seeing her essentially all the other males in the family get killed.
Yeah, Brotherhood. Yeah, was it? Might have been two of Brotherhood, but I never got that far in that. I didn't care enough to collect the feathers. In two.
Yeah, you're damn right not to, because it's not rewarding.
Yeah, that's. I'm trying to think about the actual rewarding part. Collectibles. I think. I'm trying to remember. It might have been in Deadly Premonition. I think you were. If you were doing the same thing as we were talking about with Snoop Dogg. You don't unlock Snoop Dogg. Unfortunately, that would have been cool to drive around Greenvale on a lowrider and pumping up hydraulics and shooting from one area of the map to the other. That would have been awesome.
That would be great. And even better is if Snoop Dogg had his own buddy cop story with Willie Nelson as his tag-along partner. That would have been great.
It would have. I would say, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but side quests for sure. I mean, Deadly Premonition had a lot of good side quests, and you actually got a lot out of it than if you didn't do them. I mean, story-wise, and you got to know the characters a lot by doing those side quests, which is added a lot to the atmosphere of that game. It may not have had the strongest graphics or God, it didn't have the greatest map. That's for sure, but it had a lot of charm. There was a lot of work and dedication to even just putting together the AI NPC routines. They're always doing something, going to some location at this point in time, and you can always coordinate to where they're going to be at any given time if you really just follow them around. They have their certain schedules, which is really pretty in depth in terms of.
Go pick up a center sandwich for some lunch. What was that comprised of?
I think it might have been raspberry. I think it might have been raspberry jam, like cereal, and something
peppers.
Something else. I think the ingredients is out there on the internet. You can put it together, but I mean, I wouldn't mind trying it. I mean, you only live once.
Well, it's something coming from an essentially very David Lynch-esque world, so you might just be warned. Like, get some Tums beforehand.
He might give you food poisoning. You don't know.
Yeah, I got enough of that going around, so I will probably take a leave of absence if we happen to come across some center sandwiches.
Yes. So, without further ado, people, I just started that recording about 2 minutes ago because we were getting on a roll here with some topics. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 150 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast. That is the big 150.
150 or more to see.
God damn, it's been. I think we always talk about this whenever we reach either the 50 episode milestone or the 100 milestone. Whatever comes first. I always mention how long we've been doing this. We've been doing this since like 2009. This podcast. Right.
The economic climate couldn't shut us down.
Hell no. I mean,
stronger than ever.
Stronger than ever, and we're still hanging in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. And one of them is, just a little aside, Titanfall for the 360 was released today. It's Tuesday. I don't know about Titanfall. I think I might wait till it's drops in price. But just Microsoft has given no forewarning about the Titanfall for the 360. It got absolutely no fanfare, and I think that's very much because they want people to focus on the Xbox One and not ignore it.
Yeah, I mean that certainly. I didn't even know when it was coming out because I originally it got delayed and didn't come out according to the same time it came out for the Xbox One. So I haven't actually seen any reviews on that or any footage on how it compares to the Xbox One versions. I don't know. I don't know how well that's going to do on the 360. It may do a little bit, may do okay, but I think people who actually are interested in it probably have already played it for the Xbox One rather than just kind of go play in the kind of the lower grade version of it. Which I'm sure I'm sure it's still fine. It probably just doesn't look as good as it does in the Xbox One for sure. But I haven't done enough research on it to see what differences are in that game. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably going to be the same type of difference between the ground zeros for the 360 and PS3 versus the current gen.
Oh man! Speaking of ground zeros.
Mm-hmm.
Since we last talked, I didn't get the chance to play it when the last time we talked about it. I did happen to play it. I've only played it once. I think I don't know. The graphics are good, but my eyes couldn't get over the fact of how not as good it looks compared to the PS4. The PS4 looks absolutely gorgeous for Ground Zeroes because I watched a lot of footage of some of the demos from the PS4, and my eyes couldn't adjust to the 360. Like some parts of it really show like the draw distance on it is not the greatest. You can barely see too far ahead without getting close enough to see. But it's fine. It's fine. I mean, if you weren't spoiled by the PS4 videos that I watched, then you'll be fine. You won't notice anything. It still looks good for the 360. I gotta replay that again because I didn't play any of the side ops. I just did the straightforward main story mission, which took me about an hour. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I gotta replay it again. I didn't mind.
It is that weird sort of game.
Yeah.
Where you gotta mull it over and you don't have the immediate impression right off the bat. Because it's also sort of a part of another game, and this is just kind of a tutorial mission, and the content is kind of leading into more other things, and it feels like there's not a whole lot going on, and it's hard to get an impression of just this kind of little snippet of a game.
I've read how it was short, so I knew what I was expecting, but even knowing what I expected, I still came away with it still unsure about it. Like especially near the end, it was like really getting good. This action going on, the cutscenes. Like the cutscenes are really well done. Like you talked about how it's mostly all one shot. There's really not multiple cuts during the cutscenes. It's just all one continuous shot, and well choreographed camera movement, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to that point, and then it stops, and then you get to the credits.
It's I'm trying to think of that's probably one of the biggest build-up letdowns since maybe Halo 2, where you're building this like nice huge crescendo, and it's like now it's really gonna start, and then it's like,
I forgot for a second how long the game was gonna be, and I forgot I was playing sort of a demo, and it's like, oh crap. I mean, if this was on the arcade market as a demo, this would have been probably one of the best demos ever put out.
Oh yeah, that would go alongside the BioShock and Brutal Legend demos in terms of just like how well received it would have been if it was just that. But I guess the guys at Konami thought like, okay, we'll sell a separate.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's more good than bad.
It's good. It did whet my appetite. I have a feeling that this is gonna lead to something. I feel that EA is gonna do something similar to this in a more devious way than Kojima.
Oh god, don't give him ideas.
I'm just saying, man. It's good. I'm playing. I'm thinking it's gonna happen. Something's gonna come out. Whether it be, actually, I don't know. I mean, I actually wouldn't mind it in some way, like. Maybe not that, but if it's like a multiplayer game, I think we've always talked about how most games like Call of Duty, like you really don't need to waste your time like even putting together a single player, because most people play it for the multiplayer. I mean, it would be interesting to probably put the single player maybe out on the arcade market or PlayStation Store, and then have that be digital, or maybe sell them, or sell them individually.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe $30 a pop.
I was thinking about EA and Konami just now, and I just realized if they were their equivalents to villains, I'd say EA is probably Snidely Whiplash. Like he's like always scheming and conniving different weird, just devious acts of bad personness. And then Konami, just because they're just like the poor version of EA. They don't know what they're doing. They're not good at being bad. They're Bulk and Skull in terms of being bad. Like they think they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do the thing that EA does, but they don't do it that well.
I think that's the perfect way to put it there.
It makes them sound harmless.
I guess the closest thing they've ever gotten to that was like the HD versions of Silent Hill that they put out, which was like, I don't know how you messed that up. Where
how do you make it worse?
How do you make it worse? I know, it's crazy.
It's like you could have literally just ported on over the original games with achievements, and then people would just have lost their minds.
I mean, or even better yet, probably just it's better off like if you really want to play those, you're probably better off playing them on the PC, because I'm sure you can run them on the PC and it looks as good and not broken. The PC version. I mean, at this point, if your computer can't run that game, then yeah, you gotta upgrade. Like Windows XP. I mean, you gotta move on. You gotta move on from Windows XP.
I think people are still booting up their old Jaguars to play Silent Hill 2. But if you can't play Silent Hill 2 on something, then you are probably from 1993.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, then I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I do know what to say though in this case, because Konami's a company that's not really known very well for their handling of their games. CD Projekt Red is actually a company that does it fantastically.
Whoa! That segment.
Thank you very much. It's and I just wanted to lay down some knowledge involving Witcher 2.
Yes, when I first got your message and you telling me that you've beaten The Witcher 2, I was smiling with such glee, because you've experienced quite a game, I'm sure.
I did, and yeah.
So what's on your mind about it? What you want to talk about, CH, about The Witcher 2? What was left in your mind after the very final cutscene in the game of The Witcher 2?
Well, I might delve into spoiler territory. So for those of you who are not partial to hearing spoilers, especially about Witcher 2, which you might buy, turn away now. For me, I was left with just thinking, wow, this is actually a very, very complicated, complex world, because you have the trial. Oh, man, I'm getting Game of Thrones characters mixed up with Lord of the Rings characters, and then the Witcher characters. Stannis, I think, the trial where nobody knows who poisoned. God, I'm just terrible with names too. The woman who was kind of leading the rebellion, and
yeah,
the thing they leave it completely ambiguous. Like you can come to your own conclusions about this person had a motive, this person had a motive. Two people will say completely different things. Like I interviewed one dwarf about where she was poisoned. Like the goblin's like, oh no, it's made of the finest craftsman. Then I asked another guy, like, yeah, that goblin was a piece of crap. And it very, very interesting, sort of leaving it to your own, just your own interaction, and just a lot of well-written characters, and it's very similar to Game of Thrones, and everyone has a reason to be there. Not everyone has a good side and a bad side and a manipulative side, definitely personified with Philippa. That was, ooh, she was a complicated character, and Lethos especially. I was interested with that, and my game kind of ended anticlimactically, or maybe
You let him go.
yeah. I said, you know what, whatever. You it's obvious that you weren't really a part of this whole thing, and you took care of my woman. So hey, have a
Hey,
good
we're
time.
cool. We're cool, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I played the game multiple times. I mean, I did a few calculated saves to see, what would happen if I did this. So I originally, I think I let him go the first time, and the second time I did, I fought him. I think maybe the other way around, because like at that point I was just like, all right, this is the end of the game. I spent this whole game trying to get to you. So I'm not gonna just let you go. I know you have, yeah, I know you had your reasons, but I gotta I gotta end this game somewhat climactically. Um,
I did not pick up all these traps and throwing knives for nothing.
yes, I got items and potions I put together for this very moment, and I'm not gonna end this game without using them.
I did not touch any of the traps. None. I did not use any of the throwing knives. I just like put it all in the swords. Like put it all into
Oh yeah.
being able to roll halfway, like down halfway a football field. Like that. Like that's the character I'm the most interested in having.
Oh heck yeah! I mean, depending on your playstyle, I'm one that is not the greatest at parrying it. So to counteract that, you spend a good amount of points in putting together a good roll. So your rolling is your best friend. I think you do that 90% of the combat, rolling out of the way.
And stabbing in the back.
And stabbing in the back, that does some good damage. I like the weapon switching, which is interesting. You switch a weapon according to the battle situation. So and I think you gotta use a silver sword against like monsters and steel against humans, and they do their own effect. I mean, if you use the other one and by mistake, you'll notice that barely does any damage.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
that going for it. Obviously it'd be an RPG. There will be that sort of element to it, and yeah, like you said, I never used any of the traps or knives. I think I might have used the traps occasionally. If I had them in my inventory, I'd probably just get rid of them and use them. But they take a little while to set up, so you got to be in a good distance to set it up, or else you get stabbed in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like I mentioned, rolling is your best friend, and the Yargan spell, I believe, is called. It puts like a electric force field on you, so it allows you to take at least 2 hits without any damage, and it does some damage against enemies that attack you, which is pretty cool.
Alchemy too. I completely ignored that. I'm just like potions,
no
whatever.
points, no points spent in that. Yeah,
Yeah, if I couldn't immediately put something on either the silver sword or the regular sword, then it was going out. Like I don't have time to. I'm not going to set up a kumbaya camp ceremony and just like wait over here with my beakers. Like, hold on, guys, just need to get these potions together. And it was a lot of fun. I discovered was had with the what is it, the AARP ARP or ARD spell?
yeah. I'm trying to remember what that is. What that is? Is that a magic trap spell, or is it the fireball?
It's the wind spell, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like a force push.
Yeah, it's just essentially a force push, and it took me a while to figure out like, oh my god, if I use this enough times and it can stun an enemy, and then I can just insta kill him with a cool little animation.
Yeah.
Or my favorite, which is fighting along the wall when. Damn it! It's not Winterfell. It's not River Run. It's not Lothlorien. What is the place that you're having the giant repelling of the invading army?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it. Like you mentioned, it has these fancy fantasy names that you're gonna mix up in one way or another with all this other fantasy going on. Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings. You're gonna mix them up, and some of them may be similar. So I know what you're talking about. That was pretty awesome.
I want one day just to like go into a fantasy game. It's like, behold, the city of Detroit. It's like, okay, that's actually a really easy to remember name. Not all these like River Run and Elks Landing or what have you. Just all these names. Like I can barely remember where I live. I can't remember where all these other people live. Especially like with there were some missions where they were just like talk to the pedestrian who saw this fight in the town. Like, okay, where is he? He was last seen in a bar. Okay, now I gotta go find where the bar is, and then I gotta go find. I tried not to use the guide as much as possible to have that complete experience. But like sometimes it would be not Mass Effect 3 level vague of the mission statuses, but still just kind of like, okay, I don't really know what you want me to do. Who do you want me to talk to? And sometimes the map was confusing because it didn't kind of register different levels of elevation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there are certainly parts in that game where you had no choice but to look it up online because they were so vague and not really telling you exactly where to go. Sometimes that wasn't too bad, but other than that, yeah, there were some pretty interesting side quests, and even side quests you can do that kind of affect the whole game in a way. I don't know if you did there was a side quest where I'm trying to remember what you did, but in the end of that side quest, you ended up getting a tattoo, and the only way to remove it is to like look for a particular items and then put like a spell together to remove it. I could never find the items needed, so I just had the tattoo like on my neck the whole game.
What does that would just like if it was just like okay like a regular tattoo and you didn't like it's like okay whatever I don't want to go through the whole side quest like but what if you had like a tramp stamp that just said like juicy on it? It's like listen guys I can't go into the battle wearing this, come on.
Yeah, fortunately it wasn't too bad of a tattoo at first. I didn't like it, and then I gave up looking for the items in order to get rid of it, so I just kind of stuck with it as a lesson learned that I have to get involved with some of these side quests here.
Did you go with Yorvis path or Roaches?
First, originally I did Yorvis Tech path with the elves, the Scoia'taels. I went along that path. I actually like that story path you go on that when you go on that side, and it really doesn't. I think I've talked about it before. Like it's really not. It's not really a good or bad decision which route you go with. Like the only thing it affects is the kind of story path and the way the story is presented to you. And you kind of go to different locations. I think there's like one big level you go to there, or two differently completely levels. But at the very very near end of the game, you do end up going to the same location. But you kind of know and don't know some parts to the story, depending on which path you take. I felt that going on the Roaches path, there were some things that you didn't know, and you only knew if you went on the other path of the game. So it really, if you saved before that point, you could kind of replay it again and kind of get a little bit more extra information that you wouldn't have gotten if you didn't take the other path, which was pretty interesting. But I actually enjoyed that Yorvis path a lot more. I mean, just leading up to you going to this kind of little small town with the princess, I believe, or some that ended up turning into a dragon, which ended up fighting her. Mm-hmm. But I believe the Roaches path, you didn't meet her in that path, and then you fought her when she was a dragon, but you didn't know she was a dragon because you never met her. You never took that path, which is interesting.
That really does change. Change how you play.
Definitely does, which was one of the big things that I liked about it. Other than that, I like the very gray aspects of that game and the way Geralt handles most of the situation. He's very neutral. I think all he's really trying to do in the game is kind of prove his innocence. But other than that, he's not really into politics. He doesn't really care. He's just good at killing monsters. That's all he's good for. I mean, that's all he knows.
it is strange how there isn't a single social group that's like generally accepted as like likable. Like
Everybody's racist.
yeah, everybody's racist against somebody. Like you have the elves who are essentially like Romani gypsies. The dwarves are, always seen like, oh, what a bunch of drunken idiots. And then humans are like, oh my god, these guys are, putting us into camps and making us live these horrible lives. And the Witchers are just like they're well known for being monster slayers, but they're essentially less than alive. So just treat them like dirt.
Yeah, everybody treats the Witchers like shit.
Yeah, and nobody trusts the witches.
Witches.
Witches and witches.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to the game. A lot of aspects. I'm really excited to see what they do in The Witcher 3. Especially the way it ended. I mean, it seems like it's really gonna go out with a bang. Seeing that it is going to be the last Witcher game that CD Projekt Red makes, and then I believe they're probably still working on the Cyberpunk game. Yeah, Cyberpunk, and I believe there was something else, but I think it's just mainly Cyberpunk. That seems promising. I mean, we haven't really seen much of anything other than just like a very, very teaser trailer. That really doesn't explain anything other than just the concept of what the game may look like.
But I do wonder at how they're going to incorporate decision making in the Wild Hunt because with Mass Effect it reads your save file, or Walking Dead, it reads your previous save files, and then it goes into detail and like, oh, that's really cool. But I do wonder if it's just going to not address those choices that you did in Assassin of Kings. Or if it's just going to ask you like a couple of questions that will lead you to that, like they did with Knights of the Old Republic too.
I'm hoping they include something like that, because that would be good. I mean, they originally said that you would be able to transfer your saves to the next game, but since it's being only developed only for the Xbox One, PS4, and PC, I don't see any way you can transfer your save from your Xbox or PS3. There's a way, but there's a way to do it, but I don't think that they're gonna set it up in a way for you to do it, unless you gotta hack your Xbox or put in your USB to copy the save. That would really be the only way. I don't think they're really gonna go all out and have you do that, really. So I'm thinking they may not address it, or may not be a big factor in the storytelling for the third one, or they may just ask you those questions, but I don't think they will. I don't know.
Maybe they'll just have like Dandelion sit down and just like with a questionnaire. It's like, okay, so what did you do here? Oh yeah, you had that thing.
Yeah, maybe in a section where you didn't play the second game, is just they just randomize it. There we go.
Like, so are you confused already by the universe, characters, and storylines going on? Well, it's not going to get any easier. So get a pad and pen and a pad of paper, because this is going to get wild.
And Dandelion is quite an interesting character. He's quite good at the books as well. He's good. Yeah,
he's like if Rick Moranis and Glenn Quagmire were melded into one human being.
I think that sums him up. I couldn't put it better myself.
Because he's always in bed with a woman, but he's very, very book smart, and he never seems to get on anyone's bad side. Because you think okay, it's the typical fool who's the comic relief character, but he's he just chimes in. He's not Jar Jar Binks. He chimes in every once in a while to say something smart or to provide information. Then he just steps back because he knows his place. Because anybody who talks more than that's probably going to get killed.
Exactly, especially in that universe. It's like the Wild West. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much you indulged in seeing some of the cutscenes for the, because I think you can pretty much. There's a section there in the camp. Might have been one of the two paths, but you can there's like this whorehouse you go to with Dandelion. I think you meet him up there, and you just pretty much bang every chick that's there, and get like a cut scene for all of them. And I mean, I had a curiosity, and as a reviewer myself, I had to watch all of them and see what's going on.
Academics.
Yes.
It is funny just to see, archetypes played with, and especially, I absolutely love the side quest of the trolls. The husband troll who got into an argument with his wife because Triss, fell out of the sky, and she thought he was cheating on her with with Triss. That's just so funny. Just an episode of Jerry Springer right there.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I remember that very vividly. There's that, and then there's there's one where you go with the dwarves in a cave somewhere. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what he did.
They're not rat ghouls, but they might as well be, because I can't think of them as anything other than rat ghouls, because they're the gangly golem-like monsters who explode into a big puff of poison gas when they die.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah,
I've died a few times.
A lot of little references here and there, especially to Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was actually really surprising where kind of the twists and turns came from, and when the princess was you're talking to the princess, and she reveals that she's a dragon. And it just sort of like a matter of fact. It's not this huge revelation. You just look into her mind, I guess. I can't quite remember what happened, but you see from her perspective that she's the one who attacked you on the bridge, and she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I was friends with this other person here, and I had to defend him. I'm sorry. It's like, oh, okay, it's not really anything malicious, or like, at least that's not a huge conspiracy theory so far.
No, personal.
It's just business. Just good business right there.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely looking forward to that. Just talking about it, I'm feeling the need to play it again. I haven't played it twice to complete, overall complete. I mean, I've only played it twice just to replay that segment where you can choose the two branching paths in the story, but I haven't fully gone back to replay the entire game over. Just talking about it's got me in the mood to do that, and just looking really forward to The Witcher 3. I mean, they've been talking about it so much and hyping up so much. I think I'm willing to believe the hype, because they seem like a really good developer, CD Projekt Red, and they have a lot of good business decisions in terms of how they handle the games. Just even the fact that when the enhanced edition came out for the consoles, I mean, they released a really big patch for current users that already have the game on the PC to update to get that version for free. So
yeah, with the guide and the free CD of music.
Yes,
these guys are going above and beyond. Like I just kind of see them with comically, like with barrels on, like, because they already gave their clothes to like all the people who are buying their stuff, and just like saying like, oh, would you like my watch? How about my wife? Here, take the deed to my house.
And you can always there's always sales on The Witcher 2 for like dirt cheap. Like the lowest I've ever seen it on the PC was $3. So if you can run that game, we highly recommend you play that. I mean, it's gonna be worth $3. It's a full price game, so you're really gonna get your money's worth if you end up getting it for $3. Really, it's a phenomenal RPG.
Absolutely.
Just all the hype surrounding The Witcher 3. I'm so excited for it. I mean, it's going to be really expansive and just a lot more, branching story paths in terms of the choices you make, which it seems really like it's going to be their magnum opus when that comes out.
I do. I do have a lot of faith in them, especially with how well they treat their customers, like, trusted and associates, rather than just like, okay, people who are buying our game. And I might purchase next gen just for that game, but for right now I'm just tantalizing over the possible story arcs that we could go through. I mean, because they teased the Wild Hunt, and they're probably gonna do something about that. And the Elven King, who nobody really knows about, like that's really interesting, and I would love to see kind of the ending of the saga.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's not gonna be till like later next year, like early next year, till that comes out. So that's still a long ways away. That's definitely the game I'm definitely gonna get a new console for when that comes out. And it seems like they're gonna go all out with it. I know that I remember seeing something about they have the actor from Game of Thrones actually, Tywin Lannister is going to be a voice, I believe, of the head of the Nilfgaardian. So he's most likely going to be the big main villain for the next game, which is very promising.
Nilfgaardians always pay their debts.
Always pay the debts in blood.
I'm definitely looking forward to what they do, and it's a good time for dark fantasy, or more mature, somber fantasy, and so
dark fantasy and Dark Souls.
Dark Souls, man. How about them souls that have gone dark?
Oh man, Dark Souls 2. I have beaten it. It was quite a journey. My character I named after The Witcher, Geralt of Rivia. He's been through a lot. I haven't actually kept count on how many times I died. I probably easily died in that game at least 500 times, probably.
Oh, jeez.
But it is one of the most stressful and also one of the most rewarding games that you'll ever play. It's definitely, I've talked about it before, it's definitely more accessible than Dark Souls. If I will recommend Dark Souls 2 to anyone, I would recommend it to everyone. Maybe not your grandma, but that's a lot to handle. But
you don't know how hardcore my grandma is, all right? She does not. She's not a casual. She chews up noobs for breakfast.
Oh, she's leveled out already in Call of Duty.
Oh yeah. She's got her rig set up with her entire PC. She's ready to go with whatever Dark Souls 3 wants to come out.
Yeah, it requires a lot of patience, but it's really rewarding. It challenges you in a lot of ways. Emotionally, patient wise, you gotta be patient. That's the big thing there. You gotta adapt, and you gotta play differently than you normally do other games. You just can't spam the attack button because that's not gonna work. Any enemy in that game that may look frail to you and other games can kill you in like 3 hits if you're not careful. But
like the skeleton enemies in any other game would be boss fights here.
Exactly. Anything in this game could be a boss fight. It just depends on how you play and how you see challenge into it. There's definitely some bosses I really had a tough time with, and the end boss, like there's some boss battles that you may encounter some. It just depends on your playstyle and the type of character you're using. But there was one I really had a tough time with. I could not beat it, and it wasn't even in a required boss. It was like an optional mini boss. But even some of the other ones, like that are the main bosses that are required for you to beat in order to progress in the game, weren't as difficult as the optional bosses, which was interesting. But I really enjoyed it. It's really one of the greatest games you'll probably play. It's definitely worth to check out. If you really want to get into heavy RPG and just the amazing feeling of accomplishment, you put together so many hours to beat it, and ranking up a character, leveling it up, and just getting stronger as you progress. It doesn't make it easier, but you feel a lot more stronger as you progress and get new items and armor, things of that nature. I think it took me about 45 hours to beat, but yes. It probably would have been less if I didn't struggle with that one boss fight, which took me easily probably 50 times to do it. But they make it a little bit easier on you. I think I guess that's at a certain point. prior to getting to the boss, you most likely have to get through enemies before you even get to the boss. So, but if you kill the enemies at least probably more than 12 times, they disappear. So, so that the game's gonna be a little leaning on you than it was before on the past games. Like they kind of just throwing it in there, kind of telling you, all right, you can handle these enemies before you get to the boss. So we'll make it easy. We'll make it easy on you, and then they won't spawn anymore when you go ahead and get to that boss fight.
Well, I guess that challenge is also part of the allure, where you might not know if you're ready to tackle an enemy, so it's a calculated risk.
Yeah, I mean sometimes if you're even trying to get to the boss, if you're just frustrated and really pissed off, I mean you can't let it do that to you, because you'll make some mistakes and you'll probably die before you even get to the boss, which is you've handled these enemies before, but you just somehow you mess up, you fall off a ledge, something, and you miss a jump. It happens. It happened to me so much times.
Nobody makes the first jump with anything from the Matrix.
I remember that. Yes, that's a lesson learned in Dark Souls. I mean, the first thing that could kill you in Dark Souls is easily that, just falling off a ledge, and somehow your perspective on what may be there is not there. That's just how great the level design is, because you may think that there's something more far ahead, and then as you walk, you're gonna follow the ledge. You gotta take it one step at a time on some areas, because you may not see it, but sometimes there could be stairs that you don't even see, because they're so well placed and so well calculated that if you don't rotate the camera well in a certain way, you won't even see it.
I'm still floored by the mini boss. I don't know if of the hordes of rats that you had to find. It's like to find the one rat king in there somewhere.
Oh, that was one of my favorite boss fights in that game. It wasn't the most hardest, but it definitely can be a challenge if you're not paying attention, because I talked about it before, but it's crazy. Like these swarm of rats come out, and you gotta attack all the rats, and I think they keep respawning. I don't think they start respawning until you kill the main rat king, which comes out like a few minutes after the first group of rats come out. And the problem is they have these intricately placed like statues all over this level. So if you're a character that is a swordsman and you start swinging, most likely you're not gonna hit the rats, because the damn statues are in the way. And you gotta if you end up finding that king boss and you start attacking him, and you see his health go down, but at the same time you're also avoiding getting bitten by these rats because they're so poisonous, and you lose track of the king rat, and it's an endless cycle until you actually beat it. But it was fun. I mean, it only took me 3 tries, so it wasn't too bad.
That don't sound too bad, but just
I wish I could have streamed that. That would have been a highlight that I could show you.
Were those? I assume those were the same rats from Dishonored that were just like the giant, like man-eating plague rats that just like devoured a human being in seconds.
Yeah, they look almost similar. I mean, they were like probably 2 times bigger, but I mean, they could have easily come from Dishonored. Yeah, man. I mean, it's I love me some Dark Souls 2. It's easily it's the easiest game to get into. If I were to recommend it, I would probably say play Dark Souls 2 first.
I got you.
Yeah, you should play that. You should play that sometime. See how far you can get.
Now, speaking of recommendations that you gave to me, I don't know if we talked about this one, but for a nice Amazon deal, I got Singularity.
Oh snap!
Yeah,
I may have talked about this months ago. I may have not, but I have played Singularity months ago, and that's quite a what's the word? That's quite the sleep. I don't know if it's a sleeper hit, but it's one of the most. It's a very underlooked game, much like Binary Domain.
It's
like a game Activision put out that they didn't really put too much marketing money on it because it wasn't Call of Duty. But it was. I mean, for what it was, it's a solid shooter, and it has some pretty interesting, mechanics and gameplay to it. With time traveling and different types of
time manipulation.
Yeah, time manipulation, and like a bullet time. That's actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Almost akin to Max Payne The bullet,
Yeah.
like you can actually control the bullet. In like the first two games, you could actually control the bullet. It might have been the
I
first one. I could be wrong, but
and I just never thought of the endings. That there's three different endings you can have for this game, and it's not like a morality system where you need to have harvested or saved all the little sisters, a la Bioshock. It's essentially just like one scene where you have to determine what you're going to do,
right.
and it involves killing three different people essentially to kill, hypothetically. But the endings that are pretty good. The story's it's pretty decent. You're a soldier. You get this warning call from this outdated Russian Soviet Union post, and you go in there and you crash land. And you discover it's actually a secret military institution, and accidentally you manage to save someone who is essentially going to damn the entire human race. So it's this fun play back and forth narrative of time traveling and changing things and maybe not changing things, and it's very, very interesting, especially with the writing on the walls.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts in the game, which was really dark and depressing, was like going to. There's a segment in that game where you go to a level in the game where you go to like I think it might have been like a school, some type of preschool or something. And then, and you find out the aftermath by reading documents and hearing audio logs. Like Bioshock, it was like so well done, but so depressing.
The only other game that I think has kind of done that similarly was Metro, but even they didn't really go into the extent of what they kind of showcased and implied and shown here.
Yeah.
And man, it is like, and the thing is, like, it's not just like a bunch of men who are scientists, like, we're soldiers, we can do this. There are a lot of families and a lot of children, and they are all victims of this terrible, terrible, terrible accident. And what's also kind of very depressing? The ending. Or endings, because no matter what you do, you're still kind of screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's a reflection on, like, you can't really change the past, but just that one ending of, and they just imply just enough to make it like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. And so, because there are not a whole lot of options you can do for the entire story, but it is. I think it was trying to be that kind of Bioshock-esque shooter with more thinking parts to it.
Yeah, it definitely had elements of Bioshock in terms of kind of how well structured some of the environments are in terms of kind of in terms of how things are laid out, telling you, kind of giving you a backstory to what used to be and what it is now by items that you read. I mean, I read a lot of the documentations, and I rarely read in-game notes. The kind
it's not a read in real life.
Yeah.
So you got a very small chance of getting me interested reading now.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely do it. I mean, I don't know anyone who'll be sane enough to read every book in Skyrim, but in this game, I mean, I took the time to actually read some of the notes that are kind of left around certain parts of the levels that kind of detail you what used to be, the aftermath of that. But that part especially, I mean, I absorbed that so much, and it was left utterly depressed afterwards. I had to get out of there quick.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's hard to effectively world build you can't overloading the player with just information and notes. Sometimes it feels heavy-handed, like the Aliens versus Predator game where they had audio logs layered out everywhere, and it was just it was just too kind of on the nose sort of thing. But they do a very, very good job with making the audio recordings, and the animated films that they have in there are just very, very well done. And just
Yeah.
they really did effectively build a very very interesting universe.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed the gameplay as well, like some of the time manipulation things you can do, especially the one like where you have this orb and just throw it in the middle of the battlefield and just deflects all bullets while you're shooting back at them. There was some really awesome different things you can do with that thing. That was pretty cool.
I definitely use those for the big machine gun guys. Just like stop them in the middle and just like take a shotgun like right to their head and fire and just keep on going until the gun goes click, because those guys were a pain in the butt.
Yeah, and it definitely. Now that I think about it, it is similar to Bioshock, because you're collecting items to power the EDI or EDM, whatever it was called. The device.
IED, BFG, LOL, TCBY. I'm not sure what it was called. It was the time gun.
Yeah, something like that.
No, TMD.
TMD. There we go.
Time manipulation device.
That was awesome, and then the segment where you have unlimited power source for that. You were going all out with that.
I have the power.
That was near the end.
I'm sorry.
That was like near the end too, so it was like perfect time to have you go buck wild on that. Have unlimited energy on that.
It reminded me a lot of Half-Life 2's ending, with Gordon Freeman getting the the super gravity gun and just like having just a heck of a time of just wonderfully using your gravity gun to manipulate physics and all that, and this one too, and just lots of fun towards the end. Just get this very therapeutic release of like, okay, now I don't need to worry about my inventory of time. I can just use as much as I want, and I can just have just a fantastic time.
Yes, quite. Singularity is quite the game, folks. If you ever have a chance to pick it up, it's relatively pretty good price to get it. Definitely recommend it. I remember, what got me to play that was actually a Jim Sterling review I read years after it came out, and it's been on my list to play, but I never had a chance to play it. But it's good. Really enjoyed it.
But speaking of Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite, I played the second episode of Burial at Sea, which was the Irrational's final game in the Bioshock series. And I gotta say, what a game to end out on.
Oh yeah, how it was pretty better than the first episode.
Yeah, because the first episode was essentially like, oh, okay, we're gonna show you a lot of Rapture and kind of how Booker relates to this entire world. Because it's this interesting inverse of like when Booker first gets to Columbia, everyone's just like, oh, look, he's a great guy, look how handsome he is. And then in Rapture, he's just like, oh, Booker, you're just a drunk, get out of here, no one wants to talk to you. And that was kind of setting up a lot of things, and the most interesting stuff happened at the very end of episode 1. Episode 2 just takes off and runs. Like, it's actually a very very good stealth game, more so than the first one, and actually some pretty interesting. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I noticed it's kind of well, I mean, since you're playing a different character, it's kind of leaning towards mostly a different play style. Mainly stealth and weapons that can take out enemies like silently.
It because you're relying on sleeping darts, and I just love the fact that they take the character actually into the gameplay as well, because Elizabeth is not Booker. She can't just like immediately reload a gun. She actually struggles kind of loading with the revolver. It takes a while, or like the shotgun if she picks it up, and just the sleeping darts are like huge, or the noise darts that kind of lure enemies away. Those are awesome, and and a very excellent addition. Sorry, and just it ties together a lot of the loose ends that a lot of people were worrying about. Like, okay, how does, because in Infinite they don't explain to the extent that they do in Bioshock. They almost explain to ad nauseum of how this is all going on. And in episode 2, it's very, very much like explaining how the two worlds relate to each other. The Suchong and Fink working together, and they explain they explain every single aspect of the science behind parallel world jumping, except for Songbird, which I love because that's like the final question mark in the entire series, because they don't really answer who Songbird is, and frankly, it just doesn't matter. It's like it just comes out to like, okay, Songbird is just Songbird. I guess they don't want to either tell an origin of it, or just thought that it would be like, what's the point? Like, Songbird is just kind of the character that in the game, and that's it. Very mythical.
I've been watching some Let's Plays of it. I haven't actually gotten to the conclusion yet. I've just been watching someone on YouTube play it, so I haven't gotten to that point.
Good cap off to the series of.
It seems interesting. I mean, from what you're telling me here, it seems like a little bit nuts how they charged almost $15 for that first episode. It being very long, and it's not really the most greatest thing they put out.
No, and I think that's why the second episode was in development for much longer, because a lot of people came back and like, okay, listen, this is it's nice, but it's not $15 worth, and so they extended this out a lot, and they really delved into the mythology and lore, because this is the last time we're going to see an Irrational game working on BioShock, and it's one heck of a send-off. Although I understand that Ken Levine probably didn't want to include anything from BioShock 2 since it wasn't his his team working on it, but just a little something here or there, just because I do think BioShock 2 is a really good game and deserves a place in Rapture history. But
nice.
They don't. It's fine. Like, they don't retcon it out of existence, but it's fine.
Well, that's interesting. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, and it's a very beautiful looking game. Of course, it's essentially Rapture scenery built with the BioShock Infinite engine, so they do play a lot more with lights, especially with sound, because the sound's very, very important in this game, because you will step on shards of glass, and that will the enemies will perk up and hear that, or stepping in water, and because Elizabeth is wearing heels, you have to be much more careful with when you're walking around.
It's getting into definitely some stealth territory there.
And once again, like, I keep thinking of whenever they return to Rapture, every time I was like, okay, I think they've shown everything that they could in terms of like analogs of businesses and so forth, but no, they keep on coming up with more creative ideas and interesting sort of plasmids and restaurants and characters and businesses, and just and I was still just amazed at how much I was discovering all the way through.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stories to tell in that universe. I mean, Minerva's Den is a prime example.
Yeah. I would still say that Minerva's Den is probably still the best piece of BioShock DLC, but Burial at Sea Episode 2 is certainly right up there.
Very good.
Yeah. Have you happened to have seen Captain America 2: Electric Boogaloo?
I have not. I might see it this week, but I've heard pretty good things about it, but I haven't really delved into too much exactly on what's going on in that movie, so I'm not too familiar what the whole main plot is, but I've heard good things about it.
It's essentially him beating up the 99% on Wall Street. Just him going around with a shield, smacking young college students in the face, saying, "Listen, a dream without a goal is a wish. This is just a wish. You have no actual goal in sight. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, just stand outside demanding fair wage, just for equality? Okay, how? Just just how. Like, that's word for word dialogue from that film. So, yep, that's the essentially the story. You don't need to see it anymore because they just told you all the juicy stuff. But
I'm down.
it's actually really. I think it's probably the strongest thing next to the Avengers Marvel Studios has put out. And wow, just the Winter Soldier man himself is just oh wow. I think I got a new favorite baddie in the annals of cinematic history.
That's good. I mean, I wasn't too hot on the first movie. I thought it was okay, but I wasn't too hot on it as everyone else was. But hearing good things about this, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
You know what's fascinating is that they actually retroactively make some of the other not as good films even better. Like it retroactively makes the first Captain America really good, and also surprisingly Iron Man 2, but for a completely different reason. And I will leave it up to you to figure out why. But just please go see it and enjoy the show.
Did they make the Punisher better?
Listen, no one can touch the Punisher. Come on, Frank Castle. You know what? I would actually not mind see. They did make a 10-minute Punisher short, which was I'm just looking on IMDb about the original. You know, they had Punisher Warzone, which had Ray Stevenson as Punisher, who was actually who is the big guy in Thor and Thor: The Dark World. The big kind of plump guy. I'm trying to remember his name. It's not coming to me.
Yeah, so he was in the other Punisher movie, and then the original one with Thomas Jane.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Tom Jane. He was also in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and they actually made a 10-minute heavy rated R short with Tom Jane as Frank Castle again, and Ron Perlman's in it too, and it's a very, very interesting little short. I definitely recommend everyone who's a fan of it go see it. But I would love to see that type of movie. Just give it a decent budget and make it rated R, make it just ridiculously Punisher, and then just get Tom Jane back in there, because he proved in that short he still got the chops.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't bad in the original movie. It just it was toned down, and the story wasn't great, and that's really what the kind of the detriment of the film was. It really didn't stick true to the Punisher, but making it R and having a good story pretty much. I mean that's the basic foundations that they couldn't achieve in that original film.
Yeah, and there's only so much you can do when you got Rebecca Ramenge as the love interest. So hey, I mean, there's always next time, and it doesn't make Punisher any better, but it certainly kind of turns the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe on its ear in terms of perception of things. And so, yeah, I definitely recommend go seeing it.
Definitely.
High recommendation.
High recommendation. I haven't seen any movies recently to talk about. Caught up on Game of Thrones, the new season yesterday. I watched that, and watched a little bit of WrestleMania, watching some of that wrestling. I didn't catch. I think I probably missed the first hour and a half of it, but I caught the pretty good parts after I got home from work. So I watched WrestleMania. I missed Hulk Hogan. That was something.
Hulk Hogan get back?
Hulk Hogan, doing some hosting duties for WrestleMania, and had some appearances by The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and Dwayne, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. A very prominent face slash renegade back in the Attitude Era.
He made the Expendables.
He was great in the Expendables. And
I got my ass kicked.
and then getting burned alive. I think he was like punched in the fire somehow by, I think it was Randy Couture, and then he was like running on fire. I mean, as anyone would do, if you were in that situation, burn it alive.
Mm-hmm. That was just one way to go, being burned alive. Because not only it's not only the obvious, like, oh my god, your skin is melting off. It's also the stuff you don't see, like you're breathing in. You're essentially singeing your own lungs, and that's just something you don't really think about when you see a man on fire. Like, ooh, that's not good. Like in the beginning of American Gangster, it's like, oh, that's rather distressing, seeing a man on fire.
So that was that. Watched some wrestling.
Wrestling.
I think I told you already. I watched all of Cowboy Bebop for the first time.
Oh, what? For the first time? I did not know that.
Yes, it's the first time I've ever watched Cowboy Bebop, and I was absolutely blown away by it. It's fantastic. I mean, I was aware of it for a while. I know that. I mean, back when I used to listen to Spill podcast, I know Corey used to talk about Cowboy Bebop all the time, but I never done enough research, or I haven't seen any episodes, but I was aware of it. But I plopped down 1 week and just kind of watched all the episodes of Cowboy Bebop in about a week, and I mean, it's a great show.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely loved it.
Well, and then now welcome to the rest of your life, because everything else will seem terrible in comparison to saying, oh, it's not. This is good. It's not Cowboy Bebop level good, but it's still good. Especially with the animes all on over. It's because they really experiment with so many different types of storytelling and tones, and they have a blaxploitation, the Mushroom Samba episode, and then they have like the John Woo sort of action film with the Ballad of the Fallen Angels, and just everything under the sun that they can think of, they threw in, and they really. Wow, just incredible. Like Steve Blum, that was his finest work as Spike, and even if a person doesn't like anime, they're gonna like this, series, because it's also just none of the stereotypes or the character cliches of anime. It's breaking away from that so well, and it still holds up really well to this day.
Yeah, and some people have this kind of certain perception of anime, it being kind of, I guess, for kids or silly, and have these archetypes. But I mean, I never thought of that when I ever watched the show, because it's just all the characters are really down to earth, real. They seem like real people for the most part. So you never get that feeling that you're watching like a cartoon. You feel like you're actually watching a show about real characters with their own problems, and these overarching story. They have also do a great thing about just telling, giving you snippets of information, of backstory on Spike throughout the whole series. And there's always these episodes that are overarching, that lead up to kind of a resolution to their past. Because almost all these characters are, I think except for maybe Faye, like all of them are kind of running from their past, but she's just trying to find out her past. And that kind of overarched throughout the whole series until, and I like how they started it out too. Like it was just them, it was Spike and Jet, and slowly progresses in every episode, and then you start, getting introduced to, newer characters to joining the crew.
Ein and Ed, and
yes.
and of course the supercomputer that's never brought up again.
Yeah, that part, that part was weird, but other than that, it was. Yeah, fantastic.
And just I love the fact that Spike just says, there's 3 things I really hate: kids, animals, and women with attitude. So why do we have all 3 of them on this ship? and it's so great because they pay tribute to classic science fiction. They do action movie not parodies, but homages. Like there's even a Woody Allen character in there. Like they specifically modeled him after Woody Allen, and just it's so weird and wonderful. It's not, even though there's overarching stories, it's not continuity heavy. Like you can just pop in an episode and just watch it and be completely understanding of what's going on. Mm-hmm. But you get a lot more detail just watching the entire series. And I gotta say, to this day, Pierrot LaFaux scares the heck out of me.
Oh damn! Yeah, the clown guy, right? With just laughing.
Yeah, just the thing that unnerves me is the sound of teeth, and just like they give like that really big close up of like him and just like gnashing his teeth together, and like that's a rough one. And just the music of it all, it's like a horror film mixed with a Batman episode.
Yeah, definitely one of the strongest episodes of the series. But I really have a hard time picking a favorite. I mean, Battle of the Fallen Angels is just one that always comes to mind. That was a solid episode. Like the last episode was good. Like the part 1 and 2 of that. And, I mean,
the Real Folk Blues.
The Real Folk Blues. I mean that whole series. I think other than maybe an episode or two that wasn't bad, but not the strongest. Other than like 1 or 2 episodes, but the whole entire series was like 26 episodes long. They're all consistently great episodes.
The worst episode of Cowboy Bebop is still better than anything else.
Exactly. I mean it's hard to pick between all of them. All of them are just strong and consistent every episode.
And I'll say this again, there's something in there for everybody. And I just love the hard-boiled detective stuff that Jet has, or the action movie sort of the mysterious man with a past, Spike, or the con artist woman, and then just like with Faye, and then just of course the craziness that is Ed. Ed just makes me smile.
It's interesting. I wish they would have given her some more development. It was, but other than that, it was, she was interesting. Really funny. I mean, her standout episode with that mushroom episode. That was her standout episode, especially the one episode when she finally finds her dad, and he ends up leaving her again. It's like I can see why she got lost.
Yep.
his dad. I mean, her dad is quite a character. Like chasing. What was he chasing? I think like storm chasing or something.
Yeah, he was trying to collect data on. Because this is a future where the moon, especially because of an accident, the moon has been blown up to pieces, and so now we had to scatter amongst the stars in the universe, and so now big chunks of rock from the moon are always hitting Earth, and so they're trying to predict the data pattern, except it's all random, so there is no pattern. So essentially, it's like Don Quixote-esque, attempting to take on this colossal thing that can't really be taken down.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that has something to say about the human condition. Who knows?
The episode with the space lobster that was stored away for so long was a creepy, almost alien-esque episode.
Oh. just that moment where Spike's opening up the fridge, and it's this horrific revelation of what's left in the fridge. It looks like an autopsy of just the most disgusting nature, and then like he immediately slams the door, and it looks like he's seen a ghost. And that one is also just so sublimely weird because it's treated like a horror story, but it's just like the comical elements of it, of where the alien came from, and kind of how the story ends is just that is perfect. And just that one song as that fridge is just flying through space.
I mean, there's that. I mean, we can go on all day about some of these episodes. I mean, definitely the other one was There was an episode with I think it was Cowboy Andy, whatever his name was. I was like, it was the same, it was almost a polar opposite of Spike, but like in cowboy form.
And of course, he had to take that damn horse everywhere he went.
You always knew he was coming. He was coming with that whistle, and the bomber guy was just pissed off and no one was paying attention to him. And I think he said something at the end, like what his motive was about. It might have been, I'm trying to remember what it was, but
nobody cared.
Nobody cared because they were too busy fighting amongst each other. And I was so torn up because I was watching all the episodes. I was really enjoying them, but like as I was getting close to the end, it's like, I don't want to finish it because I don't want it to be over. I want to watch more. And then that very last episode, Real Folk Blues, and then that last scene, just that got me thinking.
Bang. I mean, just it's a good it's a good series when you come up to the last episode and you're like, no, I want this to go on forever. And they have they did the Cowboy Bebop movie, which is essentially just like an hour and a half version of of an episode that they do, and that one was pretty damn good too. So I'd recommend checking that out if you haven't.
I have seen the first 10 minutes of it. I mean, I was going to watch it one night, but I couldn't stay up because I had to wake up early. But I only watched the first 10 minutes of it. I probably will watch that after we start recording. I probably will watch that movie. I was kind of confused in figuring out what the timeline of that was, but apparently it takes place before. I mean, it takes place during the show, but it's not like a continuation of the show. But that was kind of interesting to know. So
yeah, they do that. Also with the kind of weird how they did it with another movie from a anime show that I actually really really loved, which was Trigun, which they did Badlands Rumble, which was like more than 10 years after the original ending of the series, and that was a pretty good one too. Although it kind of gets a little too slapstick at some points, but they really did their damnedest with both that one and of Knocking on Heaven's Door, which is the Cowboy Bebop movie, and just the world is a better place with Cowboy Bebop in it.
The theme song is my ringtone now. Yeah, the show has a lot going for it. I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, it's fantastic. I mean, it's got everything: great voice acting, great story, good characters, amazing music that goes so well with what's going on screen, and a lot of memorable characters that you won't even probably see more than once that make appearances that are really good and memorable characters that just make one-off appearances.
Yeah, like Vicious is seen as kind of like the big bad of the entire series, but he's only seen like in 3 episodes.
Yeah, about that. And then there was another one where I forgot the character's name, but like the whole episode was kind of about she was like making bets all the time about people can guess her name, and like that the very last moments of that episode, Spike finds out her name, and then
Heavy Metal Queen.
Yes, that was a good one.
And there's just so much detail, because I remember watching it, and there was that moment where she was calling out to all the other truckers if they saw the other truck nearby, and there's like these quick 5-second flashes of the inside of these other trucks, and just so jam-packed full of detail. And just, it's like, wow, it's like someone like slaved over, like, okay, this character is designed like this, and he likes to have like this ashtray over here, and a giant 2-liter bottle of soda, and it's very very interesting.
It's amazing how much depth and detail they compact into every episode, because every episode is not very long. I mean, it's probably 30 minutes long, but minus the commercials, because I watched them without the commercials, and every episode is almost about 22 to 24 minutes long, and that's pretty impressive how much detail they can compact into just one episode.
Yeah, and it just they make you feel for characters in 5 minutes that shows take seasons to make you feel anything for. Like, who's the guy who's trying to become like Spike's apprentice and like
Yeah.
learn from him?
Yeah.
Like, I love that character, and of course the three old men who are just essentially the Greek chorus of the entire thing. Like, there for no other reason than just to be old and cranky.
Yeah, I mean they're always showing up somewhere, and they always know somebody that is involved in some dispute at a bar or something. Even from the first episode.
I suspect they're the ones who are causing the trouble, and then this thing, wherever they go, seems to be a problem.
Yeah, more than likely. Man, I can't wait to see the Bebop movie, and I might end up just rewatching the whole show again. Cowboy Bebop. If you haven't seen it, for the few of you who probably watch anime, you've probably already seen it. But the ones who haven't, check it out. I think there's
It's great.
a lot to enjoy about it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I know there are people out there who don't like anime just because of it's the same thing with people who don't enjoy superhero films because of the archetypes and the types of stories they tell. But I definitely recommend checking it out. At least watch an episode. If nothing clicks for you, then move on. Then it's not for you. But if you do enjoy it, watch the entire series, you'll love the action, the characters, the story, the universe. The soundtrack is just golden. It's jazz, it's rock, it's a bit of wonderful.
If not the first episode, at least probably the first introductory episode I probably would choose is the Ballad of Fallen Angels. That's if you can't get behind that episode, then I don't know what's wrong with you, or you probably won't.
You're dead inside.
Probably wouldn't watch the rest of it. But that was a solid episode.
Just the choreography in that is just outstanding. And just perfect animation, and you got Jet with his bonsai trees. Now I need to watch it.
That was also back in the day. I think it might have been the very few remaining one of the remaining animes or animations that was actually hand drawn. So that's quite a accomplishment. The art style and presentation still hold up really well.
Absolutely, and I do think with Adult Swim they had. That was for adult animation, and that was the really big push. And because they didn't have a lot of Western adult animation at that time, they tried to get darker, more mature anime. And Cowboy Bebop was one of the first ones that they brought on over. And they started out with the best. And I would actually vouch for the fact that Adult Swim probably helped get more mature animation out there. As much, or even maybe more than the Critic or Family Guy or The Simpsons. Just these great shows, and especially Cowboy Bebop. Because damn it, I can't think of any other show that's just as satisfying from beginning to end. It's a beautiful ballad.
It's good stuff. So yeah. Beyond that, I'm not sure what else we got on tap for tonight. I think we could probably end this right now. Pretty good.
Yeah, I would be happy to, just because I want to go watch some more Cowboy Bebop.
That's what I'm gonna do. So I gotta end this quick. I gotta watch that movie.
Yeah, man, go, run to your TV after this,
and play that other song that always gets me. Every time the Real Folk Blues song at the end of the show, like during the credits. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
It just, oh my gosh, it's so perfect. Every song they pick is perfect, and the that wailing harmonica tune for "Sympathy for the Devil," that was a great one.
We can name almost every episode and all the moments. That's how good it is. Every episode is so wonderfully well crafted and so well consistent.
It's going to be one of those things that's going to stand the test of time. It's going to be alongside Star Wars. It's going to be alongside Casablanca. It's going to be alongside Band of Brothers. This is just something that has been so expertly crafted, and you are doing yourself a disservice by not watching it.
Yes. So on that note, folks, this is going to be the conclusion of episode 150 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast. We'll definitely get something going together for the next episode. Maybe, figure out something for some type of contest or something to give away. I mean, just for this special occasion and just for the love of it.
Absolutely. For the love of the game.
For the love of the game. So, yes, I mean, as always, you can follow us on Twitter at Splinter47 and at ch_Gorog. You can find us on iTunes, audibletrial.com/Bloody Thumbs. That's still going on if you want to get a free audiobook for almost a month on us, and it helps the show. Go to audibletrial.com/Bloody Thumbs, and you get your free audiobook as simple as 1, 2, 3, ABC, easy as 1, 2, 3.
You and me. Oh yeah.
And,
I forgot the rest of the song to that, the rest of the lyrics to the song, so I apologize for kind of leaving that dead midair. We also are on the BGB.
Yes, most importantly, the BGB.com, and follow us there and check out some articles that get posted up on there, and follow our fellow compadres, Big Red and Y, and Christian, aka Deep Voice.
Hell yeah!
He does some streaming there, and I'm also getting back into the streaming game as well. So you can always follow me on the twitch.tv/SP_47. Unfortunately, someone took my name, so I had to use this as an ulterior means. But yeah, I mean, if you I think so. I don't know who's behind this. It may be Reggie Fils-Aimé. You can't trust him, man. Behind that creepy smile, there's the devil inside.
He's planted something. He's vicious.
I mean, he's Harbinger from Mass Effect. He's just collecting human blood.
And then in the last part, he's not really a part of the whole ending. But, he's still there, somewhere in the ether.
Oh, damn. I don't want to get into Mass Effect 3 anymore.
Yep. we talked enough about that for a lifetime, so... Yeah,
it's a great game, but I don't want to talk about the ending no more. It's too much.
I think you, Adam Sessler, and the rest of the entire video game industry would like that as well.
Yes. So yes, like I was mentioning, recently been replaying True Crime Streets of LA. So there is the archive of that available on the Twitch channel if you want to watch me play some True Crime and having me just reminisce about the glory days of that game, because that was my GTA, because I didn't have a PS2 or Xbox, so I didn't have the privilege to play any of the GTA games. That was as close to GTA as I ever got to playing on the GameCube, but it does enough to separate itself from GTA. I mean, it is kind of open world.
You're stopping crime.
You're stopping crime, but I mean, there's not really much to do in the open world.
You have a gunfight with a dragon. Come on, that's awesome.
That was the main mission. Yes, I mean that alone.
It took forever to beat him, but
Yeah, that alone, and then you have Christopher Walken as a character in there, and also like the narrator of the game. The game has its really,
City of Angels.
It has this really tongue-in-cheek B movie vibe to it. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. I mean, it goes into a very supernatural direction at a certain point of the game, depending on the path you follow. Because there's like 3 different endings. I would probably say up to 6, because you can get alternate scenes if you don't continue the story, like continue the mission you're on when you fail, which is I found really interesting, because you can get kind of alternate scenes that play out if you lose a fight against like the main guy in the beginning of the game. I mean, you can, if you don't want to do it, you can just the game lets you continue, but you kind of get an alternate scene to that, like Kane getting whooped. Like you can see a cutscene of him, like the aftermath of him losing that fight. I mean, that's what's so great about it. I mean, you can. It's not kind of really forcing you into, playing, it won't force you into replaying the level over and over again. But if you have a tough time with it, you can always go back to it and kind of see the alternate scene play out if you failed a certain mission, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I
other
have
than
fond memories of that game.
yeah, I love that game. It's fun. The combat is interesting. It does involve a lot of button mashing at times, but there's definitely some enemies that are kind of a pain in the butt, and there's really playing it again. There's really no strategy to some of these enemies because they can just kind of go random on you. You really can't predict what they'll do. They just kind of randomize their attacks. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to figure it out because you're always button mashing, and most of the attacks miss. And sometimes you're lucky enough to get a hit on somebody, especially the final boss. The general, he was a pain in the ass to beat.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that plays out when I replay it again.
Well, best of luck to you, man.
I've gone as far as beating the dragon. That's as far as I've gotten.
Well, then you're already halfway there.
Yeah, I feel like I was breezing through that game for the most part. So, yes, folks, we delayed the podcast ending as much as possible. But yes, thank you all for listening. This is episode 150 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast. And as always, I am Splinter47 signing off.
I am CH Gurok, and have a wonderful day or night.
Gravitas.
Bye-bye.